Today in the news on Vanguard Live, I am Precious Chukudi. We begin with the front pages of the papers this morning. Starting off with Vanguard. Vanguard is leading with CBN Governor Cardoso vows to fight inflation. The writer says to focus on core mandate of price stability. Inflation has had massive impact on lives of Nigerians, and that's coming from Sanusi. And on page 5, alleged bias IGP to redeploy Imo CP. Forex, Dangote repatriated $687.977 million from Pan-African operations. On Financial Vanguard, we have Forex gains. Banks profit ballooned by 156% to 2.3 trillion naira. Abuja hotels tighten security amid U.S. Embassy alert. You can read that on page 10. Still on page 10, we have a Serap sues Tinubu over failure to prove missing $15 billion, 200 billion naira oil revenues. And the stories above, we have TAMP NNPCL bound by completion date, and that's come from federal government. An interview on page 14, you see why Nigerians should kiss free, fair, and credible election goodbye by Nwodo. On page 11, 5 days to Bayelsa Imo Kogi governorship polls, fear of violence, apathy looms. And on page 9, lastly on the front page of Vanguard, we have Tinubu leaves Abuja for Saudi summit this week. All right, let's take a look at the Nation newspaper. The Nation is leading with why central bank must bring down inflation by Sanusi. The writer says, give agri priority. Cardoso, we are changing Apex Bank policy direction. President heads for Saudi with investment options. Stories above, NLC Imo government clash over attack on Ajero's village. Naira firm up will continue, and that's coming from APCON. Dangote repatriated the $687 million from African operation. Jais Bank Group profit by 74% in Q3. And lastly, on the front page of the Nation, we have a Bayelsa Imo Kogi 2023. Yakubu challenges the INEC staff members on integrity. Diri draws a huge Yenugua crowd in final campaign rally. Ajero is partisan, says Loretta Onochi. All right, let's take a look at the Guardian newspaper. The Guardian is leading with corruption to laws cost investors 1 trillion naira in property loss. And of course, we can see an infographic showing more on that report. Refineries, I will hold NNPCL accountable for completion dates, says Lukobiri. Serap sues Tinubu over alleged missing $15 billion, 200 billion naira oil funds. You can read more on page 4. Adelabu, crash landing in Ibadan airport raises fresh concern on illegal charter operators. You can read that on page 6. Atiku may be expelled from PDP, says the former vice president's aide. IGP affirms readiness for weekend's off-cycle Guba polls. Coalition laments Akeredolu's absence. Impeachment crisis in Ondo. And let's take a look at the Punch newspaper. The Punch is leading with off-season governorship polls. 220 police patrol vehicles deployed in Imo Kogi Bayelsa. The writer says IG to complete deployment Friday to redeploy Imo CP before polls. Egbeto Kumbas VIP escorts orders personnel to curb vote buying violence. On page 45, commanders others killed as military bombard terrorists. Details of 70 recovered corpses with police in Abia. You can read more on page 8. Lautech students sue Makinde for relocating agri faculty. You can see that on page 7. Trafficker excreta 86 heroin wraps. NDLEA sees 14.4 million opioids. You can see that on pages 4 and 5. Stories above, collecting pension unlawful. Palano tells Akpabio others. A cooking gas scarcity hits Lagos, Casina others. You can read that on page 31. Lastly, on the front page of the Punch newspaper, Niger Benue Kano marketers hike fuel, blame transport costs. You can read that on page 22. And that's how we can take on the front pages of the papers. Join us after the break. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. If you're just joining us still today in the news on Vanguard Live, I am Precious Chukudi. And joining me to talk about some of the stories on the front pages of the papers this morning is Mr. Ali Mohammed, CEO of Magnet Communications, also former editor of Daily Times and Concord newspaper. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, sir.
Morning, Precious. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. All right, let's delve in. And of course, we're looking at the CBN governor saying that, you know, he's determined to fight inflation, and he wants to see how his own policy will definitely impact the life of Nigerians. What's your take on that? And
Well,
also, policies do you think would you like to see, to be put in place in terms of driving down the rate of inflation?
he has said it by himself that we want to see what impacts his policies will make on the economy of this country. The truth of the matter is that the economy is not in a good shape. In fact, to say it's not in a good shape is an understatement. And all Nigerians are feeling the impact of the very, very bad economy as at today. The earlier we have these new policies from the Central Bank of Nigeria, the better for all of us. Look at the cost of petrol today. People are scared to go out with their cars daily because they can't afford to buy petrol. As at this morning, there is an acute gas scarcity all over Lagos State and some parts of the western region. The foreign exchange situation is very bad. As at last weekend, I have been told that the naira has dropped to over 900 naira as against 1,200, 1,300 that it was some weeks ago. Well, you may say it's a slight improvement, but you see, we have to get to a situation where the ordinary people of Nigeria will feel the impact of the policies, fresh policies of the Central Bank of Nigeria. As at today, there is hunger in the land. There is poverty in the land. So we cannot but wait for these policies to be effected and for them to have a positive impact on the economy of the country. If you want to start talking about the effects of the economy, we will be here till tomorrow. Look at most companies are folding up, hotels are folding up, farms are folding up. So many companies have sent their workers away because they cannot afford to pay salaries anymore. Factories are working at less than 50% strength. So if you have all these, they are not good signals. We Nigerians cannot wait for all these crises to be corrected through the central bank. We have to check the rate of inflation. You can buy this pen for 10 naira today. The following day, you want to buy it, they will say it is 20 naira. Look at the cost of bread as at today. A loaf of bread, an average size of average loaf of bread is 1,000 plus. It wasn't so some few months ago, but it is over 1,000 now. How many parents, how many families can afford 1,000 plus to buy a loaf of bread? It shows that the inflation rate is very, 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 very high, unaffordably high. So central bank must do something about that. The government must do something about that. We have to bring down the rate of inflation in this country so that at least people can heave a sigh of relief. It is so bad that some people practically have to beg to feed. In those days in Nigeria, we used to say that Nigeria have plenty of money, but they don't know what to do with money. But today, the money is not there, and people are looking for it by all means. You see people going into committing crimes because they want money, things that are not sensible to be done by an average human being are being done by people, like going into people's house to steal generator, going into people's house to steal steel, pot of stew. It's indeed a very bad situation. Government must take a very serious step to check the inflation rate and its effects on the people.
In terms of driving down the rate of inflation, what policies would you like to see?
There are so many. Look, there is this. I have always said this here that we keep estimating our projects in dollars here in Nigeria. You are not helping the naira to grow. If you are spending naira and you are assessing, or government is assessing all its projects in dollars, it means the naira has become irrelevant. The entire economy has been dollarized, like I keep saying. We have to recognize the fact that our currency is naira and kobo. That is the first step that must be taken to bring down the rate of a dollar to naira. Secondly, you don't leave your currency to market forces. Naira is now on a free fall. No effort to check and balance it. The central bank must do something about that urgently. I think if those two steps, I'm not, I am not a pessimist. I believe that if right decisions are taken, the economy will be stable a little. Yes, countries like India, Singapore, and some other parts of the world have gone through what we are going through, but they pursued their efforts to change their situation doggedly and committedly. We have to apply that situation to Nigerian situation. Not that a part of the country will be tightening their belts while others are feeding fat. So let us all take decisions and policies that will drive the economy to a very strong position. Let the masses to queue behind the government. It's not something that the government alone can do. Whatever as whatever we can do as Nigerians, we must also do it. Don't sabotage the efforts of government in any way. Don't come out to condemn all government policies because you belong to the opposition. Let's support the government. Let's put our hands together to bring back the economy of Nigeria to a strong position.
All right, so moving on. Dangote Industries Limited has said that the company has so far repatriated over 576 million through various banks in Nigeria.
To the country or outside Nigeria. This is part of the policies that we're talking about. If such an humongous amount of money has gone out, how much dollars have come in? Even through the businesses of Dangote himself. You see, we are not helping the economy. If you can ferret out such a humongous amount of money in dollars, how much money in dollars has come to Nigeria through the same company? You can look at the papers and see the battle, the war that is going on between Dangote and Bua. If you read those things, you will be marveled at the level of corruption that is going on in the private sector. The private sector, some activists in the private sector are relying on the central bank to get free dollars, transfer those dollars into the economy, and make huge profits, which they in turn transfer out of the country. It is sad. We have to stop all this deceit. Now, the same company is guilty of lying to Nigerians. How? You have a refinery that is not working, commissioned, and you said the next month you will start producing. Where is Dangote refined products? No company should operate based on insincerity and thinking that Nigerians are fools. We are no fools. How can somebody get a refinery that you are not ready to operate yet, commissioned, and applauding yourself that I have built a refinery. You brought a president that is going to come and commission a project that is not yet ready to be activated. That is a big fraud. So we must learn to contribute more to the development of this country than to take actions that will affect the economy. Yes, he has taken so much money out. How much dollars has that company brought into the economic system of Nigeria? The question is left for him to answer.
All right, moving on. Now, the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has redeployed the Imo State Commissioner of Police, Mohammed Bade, over alleged partisanship. And according to him, he said he had to change him for neutrality's sake ahead of the election. So, what's your take on that?
Well, it is normal for commissioners of police in states where elections will take place to be moved when elections are approaching. It is not out of place, but the issue of partisanship is what is not clear to me. If he's partisan, in what way? If you are moving him because of election, yes, that is acceptable. But the issue of partisanship must be proved. Yes, we've had skirmishes in that state in the last few days, in which the president of the NLC was battered, and a lot of controversies followed. And in fact, from today, they said there will be a strike, a general strike in that state. That, to me, is not enough to move a commissioner of police, because you can have such situations no matter how intelligent, no matter how dutiful you are as a leader. You can have such skirmishes, but to me, it is not enough to move him. If you are talking about election, yes, it is fundamental. It is part of the government's preparation for elections in any area to move and reshuffle commissioners of police to avoid partisanship. I accept that if that is the reason why the man was moved.
All right, of course, it's officially like 5 days to the off-cycle Bayelsa, Imo, and Kogi governorship elections,
Yes.
and there are fears that apathy and violence will mar, the exercise in parts of the state. What are your thoughts?
You see me laughing when you said there are fears. There has always been fears in anywhere in Nigeria, even during national elections. You have some people traveling out of the country to ensure that they don't get trapped when there is crisis. At the end of the day, the election will come and go. And just like that too, the election in those states will come and go. Basically, it is the norm here. We are not used to the situation that we have in the US or in the UK, where elections will hold during work days, and when people are coming back from work, they can always go there and cast their votes without being intimidated or forced to do so. But here, we would declare national holidays. In those states, I'm sure there will not be work from Thursday this week. I can assure you of that. But we don't need it. Why do we create tension each time we want to have an election? The election is not it's not something that must be life and death. No, it is an election, just that name. If we are all sincere as Nigerians, if we are all honest in having a free and fair election, there shouldn't be any reason for anybody to fear. You are going there to vote. I'm going there to vote. So why will I be afraid of you? If our intentions are pure and clear. So if people should go out and exercise their voting rights without being afraid of anything. All these apprehensions will just create a lull in the election. Then you start beating the drums of war. Election is coming. Be careful, so that they won't kill you. Be careful so that they won't attack you. Yes, there can be skirmishes here and there, but it shouldn't be so. We shouldn't see it as part of our electoral system. The earlier the government start punishing people for such electoral offenses, the better. Because each time election is coming, your heart will be palpitating as if the whole world will come to an end. People will even carry their bags and families and travel abroad until the election is over, they will now come. That to me is pure waste of money. Nigeria belongs to you. Why would you run away from Nigeria because there is going to be an election? I have never left Nigeria because we are going to have any election. Even the worst of them, June 12th, were on the roads. We narrowly escaped being shot by policemen sent out by the military boys. We were on the road, on Agege Motor Road. I narrowly escaped being shot. So I don't see any reason why people should have this culture of fear each time election is approaching. If we all mean well, if we all prepare that we want this election to be free and fair, it is between me and you and citizens, and then the electoral body. They must be committed to free and fair election instead of creating panic and fear in the minds of the people.
All right. Do you see vote buying prevailing much in these states?
Oh, sure, because it's part of our culture. Culture in quotes. Eh? Everybody wants to spend money. You believe that if you don't spend money, the opposition will beat you to it. So it's like if you know that the opposition has a budget of 10 million, you want to have 15 million. So for how long are we going to continue with such a thing? And that's why you have the issue of godfatherism, like what is going on in Rivers State today. Wike said is the one that bought forms for everybody. Why will a governorship candidate not be able to afford the money to buy a form? If you gave everything to Wike, then he has a right to want to know what you are doing. If you as a governorship candidate, you went to INEC and buy your form, nobody will come and tell you to dictate any nonsense to you. We keep talking about godfatherism, and that was what is going on in Rivers State is nothing but an act of godfatherism in the clearest form. So the governor, from what I heard, Wike appointed his chief of staff, appointed the chief judge, appointed commissioners for him. That is too much. And you still, if it is true that they said Wike wanted 20 billion from the state treasury, then that is wrong. So everyone should stay away from godfathers. That's a lesson for all politicians in Nigeria. Because if you continue to believe that without this person, I cannot be anything, that person is not God. It is only God that gives you something and won't ask for anything in return. But if that gift is from a man, it could ask for your head any day. So people should learn to be who they are. Contest if you have money, contest if you don't have money, contest, and you know that you are going to deliver. What the masses of this country want today is good governance. Not people who get to power through the power of money and now will not do anything but to be worshiping a godfather. That is not politics. And I think all of us should run away from it.
All right, let's take a look at Mr. and Mrs. this morning, and it look quite interesting. And Mrs. is saying, "You are too stingy. I must be crazy when I agree to marry you." And Mr. asks her, and he's like, "Are you okay now?"
Okay, I said, why would the
She said,
woman
I
say
must be
that?
crazy.
No, the man didn't just want to talk, and that's why he said, "Are you okay?" But to every woman, all men are stingy. We don't want to give. No matter how much you give, you still don't want to give. The man is the one running the home, paying school fees, paying light bills, paying the gas bill, paying for petrol to run the gen. The man will buy petrol for his own car, and in some situations, buy for the wife's car. Haba. You people should help us now. Hmm?
So you're sticking with Mr. today. All right, thank you so
I am
much.
the mister of today.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm also complaining.
All right, thank you so much, Mr.
I
Ali
was
Mohammed,
welcome.
for sharing your thoughts with us this morning.
Mm,
Also, remember that you can equally like, share, and subscribe on all our social media platforms showing on your screen. To find out today's stories, go to our website www.vanguardnl.com to find out more. I
mm.
am Precious Chukudi, and thank you for watching.